I mean, should President Obama have done more to stop the Russians?
Well, without a doubt. I mean, I hate to be the armchair quarterback, but a lot of this information should have been known. And this is the type of thing that your national security advisor should be bringing to your attention. If you have people that are doing their right jobs, being the CIA, being the director of national intelligence, and also the NSA. Obviously, they were more, focused on listening to Americans and our conversations and other things than paying attention to the things that the Russians were doing. And so I think that we have a systemic problem that needs to be corrected, and hopefully the Trump administration will do that.
You know, we do have disturbing reports that Russia is still meddling now, trying to leverage the Parkland High School shooting with all sorts of hashtags and activity on social media just to create chaos right now. And the reports also indicate, let's roll up to this question, Russian trolls organized both sides of an Islamic protest in Texas in May 2017. Colonel, what do you make of that?
Well, this once again shows that maybe the intent of this information operation campaign is not so much to leverage the political scale to one side or the other, being a Republican or Democrat, but if anything, just to create that discord and that confusion and that disruption here in the United States of America.
House Minority Leader Nancy Pelosi is arguing that the indictment shows Russia helped Trump, saying, quote, the special counsel's indictment makes absolutely clear the Russians had a strategic effort to support Trump's campaign. These latest indictments build on multiple Trump campaign guilty pleas and indictments demonstrating the gravity of the Trump-Russia scandal. However, George Washington University law school professor Jonathan Turley, he's arguing that those who still say collusion, they're engaging in what he calls, quote, willful blindness. Let's listen.
The most interesting aspect came down to an adjective, describing Trump officials as unwitting contacts. Both the indictment and Deputy Attorney General Rosenstein said that there was no evidence of knowing interaction between Trump officials and this rather large campaign operation or election operation by the Russians. Investigation is going to continue, but I think that people are engaging in willful blindness to ignore that this is a fairly significant admission.
Colonel, your reaction?
Well, I think that when you look at the House Minority Leader, she has a political end state that she wants to achieve. But if we have to be very honest and admit that the only people that have had contact with Russia through a political process was the former British intelligence agent, Christopher Steele, who was working for Fusion GPS, who created a dossier that was funneled through the DNC and with money from the Hillary Clinton campaign. So that is the only place where we will find political collusion with the Russians in the 2016 presidential election.
Colonel, let's get to this story. Attorney General Jeff Sessions saying the Justice Department is investigating 27 cases of leaks of classified information. That's compared to 3 per year that was investigated by the Obama Justice Department. Let's take a listen.
That is a violation of the law to leak classified documents, and it is being investigated. I will say this, there are last 2 years before I became Attorney General, each year there was 3 open investigation of classified leaks. Now we have 27. We're going after this aggressively.
And there were a lot of leaks in the Michael Flynn case, and this just in. Judge Emmett Sullivan just ordering the government to produce records in the Flynn case after the former Trump National Security Advisor made that guilty plea. Now, the judge, Colonel, has a reputation for really being tough on Justice Department overreach. It's noteworthy given that FBI agent Peter Strzok's involvement in the Flynn case. Colonel, the judge is saying, quote, any evidence in possession that is favorable to defendant Flynn and material either to guilt or punishment, any exculpatory evidence. We read the judge's order here. What's your reaction first to the leaks that Jeff Sessions is talking about and now the Flynn news?
Well, I tell you, without a doubt, we have some serious problems in the Department of Justice, and it is emanating out of Washington, D.C. This is nothing against the FBI agents that are down there on the ground, although we do know that we have some issues down in Parkland, Florida. But, Attorney General Jeff Sessions has an immense job on his hands, and we cannot have a functioning Department of Justice when we have all of these leaks out there of classified information. Because who are the leakers, seeking to, try to influence reports one way or the other. Now, as far as what we see happening with Lieutenant General Flynn, this is very important because if exculpatory evidence was withheld so that there could get some certain type of decision in his case, that's wrong because justice is supposed to be blind. It's not supposed to be political.
White House Press Secretary Sarah Huckabee Sanders claiming that it is reporters who are actually putting national security at risk. Watch.
Can you guarantee that you are protecting classified information, given that you have someone like Rob Porter who didn't have a permanent security clearance?
I think we're doing and taking every step we can to protect classified information. I mean, frankly, if you guys have such concern with classified information, there's plenty of it that's leaked out of the Hill, that's leaked out of other communities well beyond the White House walls. If you guys have real concerns about leaking out classified information, look around this room. You guys are the ones that publish classified information and put national security at risk. That doesn't come from this White House.
Okay, isn't this the exact wrong position to make? Because aren't journalists just doing their jobs? The Obama administration was criticized heavily for going after journalists as well. Aren't journalists supposed to just report on information that's given to them? It's about the free press of the First Amendment, right?
No, you're absolutely right. It is about the free press. It is about the First Amendment. But I think also you have to have responsible journalism. You know, one of the things that used to upset us when we were over in Iraq back in 2003 was that the al-Qaeda terrorists and others would send tips over to local journalists about roadside bombs and attacks they were going to do. And lots of times these journalists would not provide that information to us because they wanted to get the story. They wanted to be there to see what happened. And so you cannot continue to put the lives of American men and women in danger. You cannot put the national security of the United States of America in danger. I understand reporting the news, but you also have to be a responsible journalist.
Thank you, Colonel. It's good to see you, sir. Come back soon.